Hey moms, it's Katie and Beth here with More Than a Mom, our podcast. Yay! We are season 2, episode 2. Whoa.
Whoa.
I know, right? And the purpose of this podcast is to bring in individuals that have skills and knowledge in particular areas to help out our mama audience. So the way we work is you anonymously, you being the mama in the audience, anonymously write in and send us your questions, send us your struggles. It doesn't matter. It can be relationship, parenting, personal, money, whatever it is, and we will find an expert to interview for you and get that question answered for you. So please do us a favor so that we know we're doing a great job, and like, follow, and comment on whatever platform that you are listening or watching this podcast on. And again, this is all anonymous. We do have somebody that wrote into the show today, and that's going to be our topic of discussion. You can find us at MOMnationUSA.com, and that is where you can sign into our anonymous form. Comes to only Beth and I. In most cases, we don't even know who you are. We will absolutely not share your personal information here whatsoever. Will we, Beth?
That is correct. Most of the time I am like, today's topic is quite a doozy. And, I wish that I did know who it was so I could ask some clarifying questions, but I don't. So it is completely anonymous. There's no way for me to find out who's submitting what questions.
Perfect, and that's okay. And lastly, before we get into it, just would like to shout out and a huge thank you to our sponsor, Team Evo AZ with eXp Realty, offering unmatched experience in customer service. Visit evoaz.com and be on your way to savings and overall real estate happiness. All right, Miss Beth, my lovely co-host, what do we have today?
Okay, so today we have a super fun topic. It's going to be kind of exciting. We had this mom write in, and her husband tried out something new in the bedroom. And they were doing some fantasizing and some dirty talk. And in the fantasy involved another person, and she would never ever actually want another person involved in the bedroom, and she's not sure how to approach talking about this with her husband to make sure they're on the same page. So I'm super excited for our guest speaker as well, who's going to be helping us answer this topic.
Our favorite person to talk about sex with, Dana Lam with the surprise date challenge. What do you think about this one, Dana?
Wow. Well, when Beth approached me about the question, I blushed a little bit.
I was having a hard time reading it out loud.
Right. And because it is something private. I mean, we're all sexual beings. And when you're in a relationship, things like this do come up. And while we may feel, not just with this topic, but with every topic, this might even be a little bit more difficult, but you would think things would get easier to talk about, right? With your spouse, the more longevity that you have or the years in relationship. But we still, I think, as humans have that fear of rejection, right? Yeah. Even from the people we love the most. We don't want our husband or spouse to reject us. So I think that's where some of that comes in that unknown. So with this question, I think it really has to do with, communication is so key for that. And one of the things we like to recommend with our clients, so we do coaching and help couples to create more passion and desire, usually through planning one surprise date a month for each other. But this is something, that's really important in a relationship. And a lot of our ideas end up in the bedroom. Because when you feel more love and connection with your partner, then you'll want to be more intimate with them. So, and I know with part of the question, so it sounds like it was all just a fantasy that maybe he initiated or brought into it.
Yeah, I'm confused about that too.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure.
Okay.
Didn't specify one way or the other. It said the anonymous submission did say that they both seemed into it, but would never want to actually do it in real life, is what mom is saying, and wants to know how to talk with her husband to make sure that that's clear, and that they're on the same brainwave. in what's okay and not okay in their bedroom.
Right. I think that's really important. And it's so important to have boundaries because we're not mind readers. And, I mean, she may be thinking, oh, I would never do this in a million years. And what if he's thinking, oh, I'd love to bring someone else in and watch that? I mean, there are people who do like that. And I think it's really important to set those boundaries and expectations in a relationship. And to do that, we have to talk about them, even though they may be a little bit uncomfortable. One of the things that we recommend to our clients is that they have a monthly review or check-in conversations. And not that this has to wait, but to make sure that at least once a month, and in your every relationship's different, so you decide, but our recommendation is once a month, you set aside time where you're not going to have any distractions, the kids, no one's around. And some sample questions that we give people are, how do you feel about us right now? Are there any leftover issues that we need discussions or clarifications on? What unfinished business do we need to discuss, clarify, or resolve? And how can I make you feel more loved this month? So these are just some suggestions that we have. So sometimes when emotions are high in any type of situation, then it's more challenging to have a heartfelt centered conversation. So if you have something on the calendar, so first of all, I would recommend maybe implementing that into your relationship to have a monthly check-in conversation where something like this could be brought up. Or since I don't know how long ago this situation occurred, but I think just talking with she can suggest to her spouse, hey, I really had fun. I was really excited about the other night. Can we talk about that a little bit more? And if she's nervous, maybe write down some bullet points to make sure that so you don't forget if you're nervous or in the moment, that you remember what you want to discuss and talk about so that you can set up boundaries. So she could share, wow, this was really exciting. I just want to make sure we're on the same page, and that I would never want to bring anyone else in, but how do you feel about it? Because she may just want to check his pulse to see. And if it is something that he wants to do and she doesn't, or vice versa, she wanted to and he doesn't, I think just making sure that you set those boundaries clear and say, well, okay, I'd be open to try that once, or no way in a million years. I know this is something that you desire. What would be a workaround? What else can we do? Will these fantasy situations still satisfy you? Right. And that's why they're called fantasies, right?
Right.
Because fantasies are things that we want to, it's like you're an actor or an actress for the day. That you're not going to, where you can be incognito and be someone else. And I think that's really important in relationship to keep the passion and the desire alive. We need to add a little bit of excitement and risk into our relationship.
Absolutely. Love it. Great answer. So what suggestions would you have for her? I know you just kind of gave an example, but maybe we could talk a little bit deeper about this. If there is a conflict with pages,
right?
Coming up with a workaround, really cool. But what if they're having trouble communicating anyway? Is there any professional out there or something that they can tap into that might be helpful for couples that have a little bit of trouble talking about these situations?
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, I think that, it's important for you to be able to talk about it on your own, I think, at home. But if that's something that's challenging or difficult, or you're not agreeing and you need to get a third party help, I think I feel that people are changing the way they look at getting therapy and counseling. I just saw a video with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith and several other celebrities have come out and said that they've gotten therapy or gone to therapy or marriage counseling because they wanted to have a great relationship. And things are going to come up in relationship. They're not always going to be rosy, and we're not always going to be on the same page, and we're going to disagree on things. And that's where you have to decide where can you compromise and where are you not able to, to bend or compromise. So in those situations. So for sure, if you are disagreeing and you need to take it to the next level, counseling is always a great option.
Awesome. Do you have any in particular, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but that you would suggest?
A counselor or a therapist?
Yes.
Well, we really like emotionally focused therapy, which is, if you Google emotionally focused therapy, and Sue Johnson wrote the book. That's another thing. I mean, if you can listen to, there's so many great marriage and relationship books out there. So getting them, I love them on audiobook. So you can listen to them in the car, and it's efficient. And Marty and I have both read Sue Johnson's book, which is Hold Me Tight, which is an excellent, excellent book. And you can go on to her to the website for emotionally focused therapists, because I know that now MOMnation really is across the nation.
Yes.
And I do know locally some places here. They also do a weekend emotionally focused therapist. You can find weekend retreats. They usually do like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I think it's usually around $600 that a couple can go to, and they really work on your communication and using their techniques, which is really, really wonderful.
Because communication is the biggest thing, right?
Yes, I would say, right. You have to be on the same page. And it's amazing to me how many, even in suggesting to people that they plan one surprise date a month, what we'll get a lot is, especially from women, oh, my husband never does the date planning. I always do the date planning. And they're, even being in a relationship, they're afraid to ask them because they're afraid they're going to say no, or they're afraid that their husband isn't going to show up. It's all based around fear instead of love.
Mm-hmm. And judgment.
That. Right. And well, how is that going to make me feel? What if he's not willing to plan a surprise date for me? How is that going to make me feel? Instead of, and I think if you're in a loving relationship and your partner cares about you, and you go to them and you say, hey, I have something that this is really important. Can we try this out? I think most times, if you have a loving partner, they would want to at least give it a whirl, whatever it may be, whatever you're asking them to do.
I agree. And I feel like sometimes we may not communicate for fear of being judged, whereas if we would have just communicated, none of that would have happened anyway. So it's just a bunch of crap we make up.
Right, for sure. For sure. I know it is a lot of things that think about it and I can't remember who said that. Somebody, I remember it was at some seminar or something where I heard someone say, all of the things you fear, if you write down all the things you fear, like I think less than 1% of them ever come to happen, if that. Right, it's all made up. It's all made up in our head. And so many times those tough conversations, don't you feel that after you're so nervous and leading up to it, this stress, and then once you get it all out and the other person responds positively, you're thinking, wow, I'm so glad I did that. I should have done it sooner, right?
And you made yourself suffer that whole entire time before you did it. So that's a thing too, is that that piece of it that we put ourselves through, and we don't have to necessarily suffer because it is only less than 1% of the things that we worry about that'll actually happen.
Right.
And if I saw this quote the other day about how worry is interest on debt you may never owe.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's really great.
So we're worried about having these conversations with our spouses when really, like, it's most likely nothing we should worry about.
Right, for sure. And if there's an issue with communication and it's a highly heated, or there's a lot of energy behind it, you may want to have a talking stick. So you can eat, or something. It could be a stuffed animal or a teddy bear, and whoever has the teddy bear or the talking stick is the person who's talking. So if you're ever in a situation where maybe one or both of you interrupts the other person, and sometimes we have that. I'm like, I'm not finished talking. Can I finish my whole story?
Right.
Let me finish what I'm saying. And so if that's something that comes up, a talking stick is really great, or some object that whoever has that gets the floor to speak.
That's a fantastic idea. I wonder if that works with 5-year-olds.
You know what? Actually, that's where I learned it from.
Is it really?
It is from a preschool class. That's where I learned that from. And I'm like, that works with adults too.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. And I do, if you want to talk about, I don't know, I had some other notes and things to talk about when it comes to sex and role playing and fantasy. So I don't know if you wanted to discuss that, or is it more on the communication?
No, please do. If you have something else to add that's relevant to this topic, I love it. Please do.
Okay. Okay. Well, for sure. I mean, I think that sometimes people are uncomfortable with the whole fantasy or sex thing, but that's what really brings us all together, isn't it? Usually that's the key piece. The romance, the desire, the attraction, and sex brings us together. It's what creates children. And if you're with somebody for 5 years, 10 years, just to keep that romance and passion alive, I think that there's nothing wrong with a little bit of role play, as long as you set those boundaries and you know what works for you, and be open to, try something, and then you can say, oh, you know what? No, I didn't like that. That didn't work for me. With whatever you feel comfortable with. I would never allow anybody to talk you into doing something that really makes you uncomfortable.
Right.
But, things, role playing is funny because some of our clients, I've heard, actually, I love learning from sometimes our clients. I don't have all the great ideas. They have some great ones. So there's all kinds of places that you can get toys for the bedroom and lingerie, of course, and also outfits for role playing. It's not just around Halloween time. So we recently had a client share with us that they had a role playing where her husband was a policeman, and he pulled her. They were actually outside. I'm not sure. I didn't get all the details. I just got some of the basics, where he pulled her over and was arresting her and giving her a ticket for that. And so that was one of their little role play sessions. So you can be creative. And if you Google, actually, before we got on this call, I did Google, and Your Tango had a really great blog about role playing ideas, cheerleader. There were just all kinds of different role playing ideas. And have you seen, I know I asked you, Beth, have you seen Four Christmases?
No.
No, neither of you have. Okay, so Four Christmases it's so cute. It's about this family who wants to avoid their couple who wants to avoid their families for Christmas, so they always go out of town on vacation. But the movie starts out with them in a bar, but you don't know. They act like they're not together. They're totally role playing that they don't know each other, and I think they end up having sex in the bathroom.
Oh, funny.
I know. And so this whole time in the beginning, you just think there's some random couple that hooks up, and then they're back at the house and he goes, oh, wow, you have such a great view here. And she goes, oh, honey, it's your view too. Come on in. And then that's when you know that they're actually a couple. So they went to this restaurant pretending that they did not know each other and hooked up as strangers. And so there's so many ways to do that. Marty, actually, one time, one of my favorite dates, and this wasn't really role playing, but he had asked me to wear a black wig, a green shirt, black leggings, and black boots. And I had no idea why I was going to wear the black wig, but I have to tell you, it made me, just even wearing, the thought of wearing a black wig and wondering what he was up to kind of got me a little excited. And all it was Fat Tuesday. And so he had me wear a green shirt. He wore a purple shirt. He had us wear purple. He had purple fedoras for us, and we went out of the house, and I had no idea it was Fat Tuesday. And we just went to Southern Rail. They were having a Mardi Gras dinner with Mardi Gras themed foods and the baby and the cake. And people were wearing boas, and they gave you beads when you checked in. And when we left, I said, well, why'd you have me wear the black wig? And he goes, I don't know, just to throw you off. I thought it would be fun. So I have this black bob wig in my Halloween, box. And so he already knew I had that. And so, just even that, it wasn't even sexual or dirty, but, just being somebody else for a night incognito is a little bit fun. So you could meet your partner at a restaurant, like in Four Christmases, take separate cars, maybe wear a wig, and have them find you in the bar and try to pick you up or hit on you. And Marty and I actually did this. We were on vacation. We were in Park City. And I said, hey, why don't we pretend? He didn't know what I was wearing. And so he went down to the bar, and then I went down after him. And there was a place in between him and this other guy. And I asked the other guy, is anybody sitting here? And he said, no. And I sat down, and Marty bought me a drink. And then he goes, well, I'm here by myself. We were chatting. He goes, would you like to have dinner with me? And then we went and had dinner in the restaurant. And the whole entire night at dinner, we pretended that we didn't know each other. We had fake names that we were using. We had fake stories about ourselves, and we were getting to know each other all over again. And I wasn't sure we'd be able to keep it up. I mean, it was a couple hours. And, and then like, oh, I'll walk you to your room kind of thing, and it was it was totally innocent, but it was a lot of fun, and it made the evening a little more exciting.
That is so cute. I would probably have a British accent if I were to do that. So now that you've been a brunette, do you have more fun?
Well, I'd like to think so. I know I have a lot of fun personally.
She says yes, everybody.
Yes.
Awesome.
Expert Dana.
Such great ideas. I love it, Dana. If somebody were to want to get in touch with you, follow you, sign up for the Surprise Date Challenge, how would they do that?
Well, you can go to surprisedatechallenge.com and opt in. You can join the Surprise Date Club, which is absolutely free, and we'll give you lots of great date ideas. And join our Facebook group, which is also the Surprise Date Challenge, because we have lots of great date ideas. We have a lot of partners here in the US, but we're expanding across the United States. So we will be coming to a city near you. So you can get a date of the month also.
I love it. Miss Beth, anything you'd like to add?
I just want to say thank you to our amazing guest, Dana, for sharing some advice on this hot topic.
Hot.
Emphasis on hot.
Yes.
And then just also say thank you to our audience for listening to us and joining us today.
Awesome, ladies. Yes, I ditto that, what Beth said. Thank you again, Dana, so much. You were amazing. I love talking with you every chance I get. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.